I did the thing you probably would never set out to do, is I picked technologies that I had no idea how to implement at the time. So my background was in Java development. I did architecture development for a number of years at TI. But when we come to this, we really looked at what is the customer problem we need to solve and how do we scale it? And we needed to pick technologies that would do both. Java will scale, but it's generally very single node scaling, depending on how you architect it. And we really we're looking at something that was a newer platform, easier to develop on, and we could easily hire into. My name is David Cauthron. I am CTO and co-founder at Outpave.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Like 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their back.
The company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve. I was proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time. The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it. Not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story. I'm your host, Noah Labhart, and today how David Cauthron is building you the back office in your back pocket so you can track business spending like a pro. This episode is sponsored by Kiteworks. Legacy managed file transfer tools lack proper security, putting sensitive data at risk. With Kiteworks MFT, companies can send automated or ad hoc files in a fully integrated, highly secure manner. The solution is FedRAMP Moderate authorized by the Department of Defense and has been so since 2017. Step into the future of secure managed file transfer with Kiteworks. Visit kiteworks.com to get started. This episode is sponsored by ClearQuery. ClearQuery is the analytics for humans platform. With their full suite of features, you can go from data ingestion to automated insights seamlessly. With Ask ClearQuery, you can find valuable insights into your data using plain English. Don't miss the opportunity to simplify your data analytics with ClearQuery. Get started today at clearquery.io/codestory. David Cauthron grew up in Dallas, Texas, and attended UTD for undergrad. Post that, he spent 22 years at Texas Instruments, who makes a whole lot more than calculators, serving in numerous roles in IT, the latter being e-commerce. But outside of tech, he's married with 2 kids and really enjoys spending time with his family, going to Disney, biking, and running. In addition to this, he plays Minecraft with his kids and attends gymnastic meets and Boy Scout campouts. David was contacted by his current founder and friend who was going through an intra-prenuership program at SAP. After winning the program but having it be shut down, he asked David if he was available to start a company and create the Concur for small to medium construction businesses. This is the creation story of Outpave.
We are a construction, residential services, financial, and spend management company. We focus on expense management today, but adding more services around finances throughout this year. What we're trying to do is really help small, medium businesses manage their finances. And the construction and residential services sector is a market that really hasn't had disruption in this case. A lot of them are still doing very manual accounting, if not doing receipts in shoeboxes. It's very focused on trying to help those customers automate. And we really started our company from a point of trying to help our customers solve a problem. The challenges that they have every day with even just technology to begin with and looking for that kind of help. One of my best friends from childhood called me, and he was in an intra-prenuership program at SAP Concur. And he was in a program trying to lead this company as an SAP product to create it for small and medium businesses there. Now, the product has changed quite a bit since that point. We redesigned everything, but he started it there from a factor of just a company within SAP. He was in a division of 1,000 people, 250 teams, and there was a promise of if he won that, he would get roughly $3 million to start the business as a subsidiary of SAP. He was one of the teams that got to the final stage and essentially won, but they shut the entire program down, including all the companies that had previously run, and pulled the funding. About that point, he calls me and he says, "Hey, I'd like to start a company and I need help with a head of engineering, and are you available? Would you like no money and to actually give us some money to start the company?" And I said, "Yes, that's exactly what I want to go do." I think of it almost as something as, if I was 80 years old and I looked back, would I have made the same decision? And the answer is absolutely. I would not want to miss this opportunity, especially working with a friend of mine, and we've had fun since.
Okay, tell me about the MVP of Outpave. So that first version of the product you built, how long did it take to build, and what sort of tools were you using to bring it to life?
Like several of your recent and previous podcasts, we scoped probably a little too much for MVP. It took us about 9 months, which is not too bad, but we tried to launch both web and mobile at the same time. And for probably 6 of those months, I was still working at my previous company. Long nights and weekends to get there. We started with an AWS platform on MERN, which is Mongo, Express, React, and Node. We actually switched over to Dern, and I'm still questioning, which is just we added DynamoDB instead of MongoDB, and a little bit of TypeScript. And focused really just on trying to get a product out that our customers could utilize from day one to actually solve at least a part of the problem, being able to issue cards, credit cards to the customers for expenses, automate those expenses directly in the application, and then manage those by categorizing them, as well as limiting what you can spend on. So it's really changing the way that you think about expense management, and that's where we started as an MVP.
So in any MVP, you got to make certain decisions and trade-offs. Picking technology and things of that nature. Typically, there can be some things around how you architect it to move quickly, or technical debt, or feature cut type decisions like that. Tell me about some of those you had to make in a little more detail on how you coped with those decisions.
I did the thing you probably would never set out to do, is I picked technologies that I had no idea how to implement at the time. So my background was in Java development. I did architecture development for a number of years at TI. But when we come to this, we really looked at what is the customer problem we need to solve and how do we scale it? And we needed to pick technologies that would do both. Java will scale, but it's generally very single node scaling, depending on how you architect it. And we really we're looking at something that was a newer platform, easier to develop on, and we could easily hire into. And so that's why we went with an AWS platform with Node and Express and React. It also gave us the latest and greatest from just building that front-end technology to make it easy for our customers to utilize. And so one of the things that we really focus on at the company is simplification, and wanted some technologies behind that to make it easy.
This episode is sponsored by Kiteworks. Legacy managed file transfer tools are dated and lack the security that today's remote workforce demands. Companies that continue relying on outdated technology put their sensitive data at risk. And that's where Kiteworks comes in. Kiteworks MFT is absolutely the most secure MFT on the market today. It has been FedRAMP moderate authorized by the Department of Defense since 2017. Through FedRAMP, Kiteworks' level of security compliance provides a fast route to CMMC compliance, saving customers time, effort, and money. Kiteworks MFT makes it easy for users to send automated or ad hoc files via fully integrated shared folders and email. Administrators can manage policies in a unified console and create custom integrations using their API. Did we mention it's secure? The level of security with Kiteworks solution is rare to find. Step into the future of secure managed file transfer with Kiteworks. Visit kiteworks.com to get started. That's KITEWORKS.com. This episode is sponsored by CashFly. The web is a competitive place, and if your site delivers its content pixelated, slow, or not at all, well, then you lose. But that's where CashFly comes in. CashFly delivers rich media content up to 159% faster than other major CDNs. Through ultra-low latency streaming, lightning-fast gaming, and optimized mobile content, the company offers a variety of benefits. For over 20 years, CashFly has held a track record for high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery. While competitors call themselves fast or use cute animal names, only CashFly holds the record of being the fastest and serves customers like Adobe, the NFL, or Roblox, where content is created by users and must be delivered in real time. For the first time ever, Code Story listeners can get a 5-terabyte CDN for free. Yep, you heard that right, free. Learn more at cashfly.com/codestory. That's CACHEFLY.com/codestory. Let's move forward then, right? You've got the MVP, it's working, you're getting some traction. How did you progress the product from there and mature it? And I think, to wrap that in a box a little bit, what I'm looking for is how did you build your roadmap? How did you decide the next most important thing to build or to address with Outpave?
One of the focuses that we have at Outpave is outside-in thinking. And I define this a little bit as kind of the fish situation of how to win friends and influence people, if you've read that book. There's a story in that book that talks about, do you catch fish with ice cream sundaes or do you catch fish with worms? And you don't like to eat worms, you like to eat ice cream sundaes. And one challenge that a lot of companies get into is they create ice cream sundaes. They create things that they want to see in a product. And what we really focused on was we wanted to create a product for our customers. Every single day we're trying to think about from an outside in. So where we started and how we started with our roadmap is actually just meeting with customers. We sat down with pool companies, we sat down with turf companies, lawn companies, and we utilized our investors, but also our contacts, my family. And we just found everybody we could talk to that was in the industry and talked about what problem are you having and what would you like to see in the product. And then even from when we're looking at the product and how we build it, we're thinking, okay, how would a customer think about this feature? How would they use it? Would they be confused by it? And one of the things that we decided to do in the roadmap and that simplification is even use simplified language. If you look at accounting software, generally you've got credits and debits and all of these things that you talk about. But when you talk to construction guys, they're not going to know that language. So even utilizing simplified language that they would know, for example, one of our menu items is get paid. Everybody's going to understand that. We really try to focus on that simplification of the language of the product and make it easy to use.
So I hear you saying we. Tell me about how you built your team. And what do you look for in those people to indicate that they're the winning horses to join you?
First off, obviously, Zach and myself have been friends. We started together, and one of the things that you hear a lot, especially in startup, is don't work with your friends. But actually, it's been one of the best things that I would state has happened, because we grew apart from each other and we weren't able to work that closely together for a while. And this has really helped us just even have a lot more fun, actually, and really enjoy hanging out with each other. But from the team that we hired, we really focused on building a team that had passion over capability. That's a weird statement to say, but I care more that you come in with the right mindset, that you come in with a passion for what we're doing and the ability to go build or learn or do anything that we need you to do, versus I want the right person who has the right skill set and exactly what they need to go do. So one of the things we did is I hired our software engineering manager was someone who worked for me in the past. He didn't have the right skill sets. He wasn't a MERN expert, but he came in going, you know what, I'll go learn it. I don't mind. Let's go figure this thing out. And then we started hiring developers in the same sense. We did put the rec out saying we want someone who knew React or Node, and we did get those individuals. But for another example of this is the individual who leads our mobile platform now didn't start there. We said, you know what, go learn React Native, which is where we built the mobile platform. But what we really saw in her was, and in the rest of the team, is just the ability to want to learn, a passion for what we're doing, a belief in what we're doing, and wanting to just make the vision that we were bringing to the table happen. And that's where we just really looked to hire the team and how we built it.
This episode is sponsored by CashFly. The web is a competitive place, and if your site delivers its content pixelated, slow, or not at all, well, then you lose. But that's where CashFly comes in. CacheFly delivers rich media content up to 159% faster than other major CDNs. Through ultra-low latency streaming, lightning-fast gaming, and optimized mobile content, the company offers a variety of benefits. For over 20 years, CacheFly has held a track record for high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery. While competitors call themselves fast or use cute animal names, only CacheFly holds the record of being the fastest and serves customers like Adobe, the NFL, or Roblox, where content is created by users and must be delivered in real time. For the first time ever, CodeStory listeners can get a 5-terabyte CDN for free. Yep, you heard that right, free. Learn more at cachefly.com/CodeStory. That's CACHEFLY.com/CodeStory. Hello, welcome to the Data Analytics Club. Do you know the password? No, didn't know there was one. Do you know how to code? No. Do you know how to query data? Like, ask a question? I guess not. I see. Then you can't be in this club. Sorry. Goodbye. Don't be left out of the Analytics Club. ClearQuery is the Analytics for Humans platform. With their full suite of features, you can go from data ingestion to automated insights seamlessly. ClearQuery provides you with the information you need without requiring you to do the heavy lifting. Their Ask ClearQuery feature allows you to ask questions in plain English, helping you find relationships and connections in your data that may have previously gone unnoticed. You can even visualize your data with presentation mode, taking your data storytelling to the next level. Pricing is based on storage, not licenses, and that ensures that you get the most bang for your buck. Don't miss the opportunity to simplify data analytics, your data analytics, with ClearQuery. Get started today at clearquery.io/CodeStory. Let's flip to scalability. And this will be interesting. It's always interesting to hear how this is approached. Did you build this to scale from day one, or with scale in mind, maybe with abstractions and things like that? Or has there been any interesting areas where you've had to fight it as you've grown?
You always hope to build with scale in mind. I think any startup will tell you that. And we did, but there's always a situation of, okay, what's the minimum thing that we can deliver to sell the product today? And so some areas that we still need to scale on is like analytics. We utilize a DynamoDB database that doesn't provide great analytics without a lot of effort. We also went with an AWS Lambda backend that was great for when we were building the product because it's really low cost. You only pay for what you use. But we just recently had to kind of refactor over to Fargate because of the performance really wasn't as good. And we were starting to have to turn on provision concurrency, which, if you don't know what that is, just means that it keeps the Lambdas online. So then you lose all of the reason for serverless platform. There's that form of scale, and we're constantly iterating and improving and adding to that to continue to scale as we continue to grow the company. There's also probably the biggest scale I'm a little concerned about it is just customer acquisition. If you think about the construction market, and generally those individuals are not highly technical people, we are going into that again. We're tackling it differently from, you can't just run ads all over the place because they generally aren't on Facebook and Google. And so you have to actually go into the markets that they're in. You have to talk to them where they are and meet them where they are. And so we actually go to a lot of trade shows. That scale is hard too, because you're constantly traveling. Every next show, you're having to bring in big banners and things to those shows.
So as you step out on the balcony and you look across all that you've built with Outpave, what are you most proud of?
As you bring on the first people into your startup, one of the really challenging situations is you're now responsible for their car payments. You're now responsible for their mortgage, right? Then you're also saying, hey, I've got this vision that I want you to believe in, and I need you to come and follow me. And honestly, for me, it's one of the scariest moments of building that team. Very nervous when we first hired our first couple people because I wasn't sure when they first looked at the code or they first looked at what we were doing or if they first saw our first customers, are they really going to believe in us? And honestly, that first day was so easing because they were like, this is awesome. Let's go. I couldn't have asked for a better team to work with and better people.
Let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
Our first one is we launched or tried to tackle just too much scope right out of the gate. One of the things that we did is we said, you know what, we're going to build optical image recognition from scratch. I had a friend of mine who we hired in for a short period of time who was a fantastic image AI expert. Worked for companies like Nito Robotics with their vision program and their vacuum robot, as well as Google. So incredibly knowledgeable. And so we tried to say, let's go ahead and actually build our own ACR application from scratch. And we still have it. It's still in a MVP situation, but it was just too much for us to take on at the time. What we really fell into was just trying to take on too much versus focus on getting the minimum product that we can to our customer and having them see it and giving us feedback. And so we inevitably stopped that investment and said, we're going to have to change scope a little bit. We'll just utilize what's in the market today. There's also a number of roller coaster rides that we had with our payment processing partners. We had just signed a contract with one of the partners. I won't say which one they are, but we just signed a contract and said, hey, we're going to be able to now issue credit cards with you. And it wasn't but 2 weeks later, we started thinking, hey, you know what? We're going to need treasury as well, which is essentially being able to do ACH transfers and wire transfers throughout the program. And so we went back and said, hey, we'd like to be on this solution as well. Let's go ahead and add that to the contract. We received a message back saying, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to move forward with you, period. Whoa. Like our world just fell apart. Thankfully, we found an option to get out of that. We were able to move forward. Now we've got a great partner in our payment processing, but it was like your world just comes apart because you're like, we're relying on this. And just a kind of a big mistake putting all of our eggs in that particular basket at the time. But we moved past it and we're good now. So.
Okay, this will be fun. What does the future look like for Outpave, the product, and for your team?
So one of the things my mentors told me is one of our probably biggest challenges is that we're very product-focused individuals as founders. Really things that we have focused on for the future is just customers. We need to get onboarded. We're shooting for 100 customers by the end of the year. And so we're still just growing the platform, polishing what we've already built. We're a little earlier than some of your previous podcasts, but we launched just last month. And so we're just focused on growing the customers as fast as we possibly can. But from a roadmap perspective, we're looking at what is the ultimate goal that we have as a company. And that should be, you can call it a mission statement or your vision, but it's the one sentence, the one fixture that you're going to be constantly focused on. And that focus for us is to enable the movement of money in anything we do. So what does that mean? And so the next set of things we're doing is invoicing and payments and then more card options. But that vision is really anywhere money is moving, we want to be in the middle of it. So money's coming in from invoices, money's going out from payments, money's going out from expenses. So we can be at the center. The reason for that is automation. A lot of platforms, you think of something like a QuickBooks, and their accounting solution that they have in place is very manual heavy, although they've started adding some automation in place, but it's still very manual heavy, requires a bookkeeper to be in place. And we integrate with QuickBooks, but our vision is not really to replace them. It's to add on the automation that we can so that front office person, not sitting there typing into a keyboard and doing data entry, they're calling your customers to follow up on the next deal and be able to sign the next contracts and making more money for you. And so that's really our vision, is be at that core of the movement of money so that we can automate everything that you're doing from a financial perspective.
Okay, let's switch to you, David. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
I had a situation as a child, I was never allowed to quit. So even as a young child, it was, you got to get this done. And so it's probably both a superpower as well as a a hindrance for me today. My wife doesn't appreciate it necessarily all the time, because when I'm focused on something and in that flow state, as you may call it, I don't let it go. And so I'll work into the night late to finalize something. But I was taught that from an early age. You just never quit. And I think you have to have that as a startup. You can't quit, because the ones that don't make it are the ones that quit ultimately. And this is one of the hardest things you're going to do. You're told every single day you suck from every investor that you meet, and you got to meet 100 of them, and they're all going, yeah, you're just not good enough yet. And so you just never quit. The second thing, and really is a longtime mentor of mine and our advisor at Outpave, his name is Gershon Baweja. He was the previous CIO of Texas Instruments. He's often doing some pretty amazing things, but he has constantly challenged me to think different. One of the stories I love to tell of his is we were going to go meet with him, and we had to deliver a particular product. And he was asking us when this particular feature of this product was going to be delivered. And I said, Gershon, I've got great news for you. We just completed that today. And his response was, but why didn't you complete the second and the third feature by today as well? And I'm like, wait a minute. You asked me to complete this on Friday of this week, but you're now raising the bar to Monday. Wait a minute. I didn't even have to have that last feature done. Now I have to have all three. He's always raising the bar. You never make it to the finish line. But the way that you can bring that into the startup world is you're really never done. There's never a finish line. This company's never finished, right? You're always raising the bar. You're always getting a little bit better every day. And if you continue to focus on that versus, oh, there's a finish line and that's what I need to get to, you're going to look back a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now and go, wow, look at all I've accomplished by just getting, again, a little bit better every single day.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear your response to this next question, given that of what we just talked about. I'm curious if it's the same or if it's something different. But say you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world, and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit?
First thing is really test your idea on a napkin before you test it in code. You need to be talking to customers first. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but you really don't dive in as a product person or as a developer, an architect, and just create the product without understanding the problem and really thinking outside in. I think that's a trap that a lot of us just fall into, is we don't think about those customers and the outside in perspective of what you're going to go build. If you start with the napkin test, would you use this? Is this something you really need? Do you see this problem in your industry? I think that'll help you to, reduce actually the cost of your build, because overall you can build something that your customers need right from the beginning versus iterating on it later. And it's a lot cheaper to do at the beginning. I mentioned it earlier, but you're going to be told you suck 100 times. And one of the quotes that we utilize at Outpave is focus on what you can control versus what you can't, what you have versus what you don't, and where you're going versus where you were. And the idea behind that is just the factor, you can't control things, your investors. Like if somebody's not willing to invest in you, move on, go to the next one. If they tell you you suck, use it as fuel to get better, right? That is your fuel to say, you know what? I'm going to come back and prove you wrong. Oh, your product's not going to work. I'm going to come back and prove you wrong. It's going to work. A lot of times is you can look at every other startup and go, man, they have a $1 billion investment or $100 million of investment. We don't have that. What do you have? What are your strengths? What can you use to accelerate? And then change that focus and change your perspective to those things. That'll engage you and make you be able to deliver something really challenging that most people can't. And then the last one is a lot of people won't take this leap. They don't want to start a startup because it's hard. And it's like, I'm going to leave my job making whatever, 6 figures a year and go, oh, I'm going to start a startup and make nothing. Yes. But ask yourself, ask your 80-year-old self, if you looked back and you said, you know what, I should have made that decision. If you think that person at your 80-year-old self would say that, you should be doing it. You know what? You'll figure it out.
That's fantastic advice. Well, David, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for telling the creation story of Outpave.
Absolutely. Thank you, Noah. I appreciate the invite.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
It's time to turn your daydream into your dream job. Wix gives you the power to turn your passion into a moneymaker with a website that fits your unique vision and drives you towards your goals. Let your ideas flow with AI tools that guide you, but give you full control and flexibility. Manage your business from one dashboard and keep it growing with built-in marketing features. Get everything you need to turn your part-time passion into a full-time business. Go to Wix.com.